Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. My name is Oliver Riera, and this is Belinda Brown.
Thank you for having me, Oliver. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, how you doing? You doing
I'm
good?
doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I can't complain. Why don't you tell everybody what you do?
Hey everyone, my name is Belinda Brown. I am the owner and creative director at Expressions in Rhythm Studio. We are a full-service performing arts program for children ages 2 through 18 in the heart of Raleigh. We offer so many different types of dance and music lessons, including, but not limited to, acro, African, ballet, contemporary, creative movement, hip hop, jazz, liturgical, lyrical, and tap.
Yeah, that's quite a few things you got going on there.
Yes.
But that's I feel like I checked out the website, checked out you guys, and it seems like you guys are doing some great things, honestly.
Yes, we operate year-round.
Yeah.
So the first part of our program is from September to June. We have our performance season, which includes 2 performances. One is in November. That's our showcase. So it's 10 weeks into the performance season. It gets a chance. It allows our students, whom we call expressors, because we feel everyone should have an opportunity to express themselves.
Yeah. I never put that together.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So our expressors are in the program for 10 weeks at that point, and it's their way of showing their family and friends what they've learned. It's a true performance, so they have costumes, stage, lighting, sells out every year.
Nice.
And then we have our concert in June. It comes with a theme and an experience.
That's like the main thing?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So this shows what they've learned all season long. This year's theme, ironically, was Blast from the Past, because it was our 10th concert. So most small businesses last an average of 18 months.
Right.
Are cash poor by year 5.
Right.
And here we are celebrating our 10th concert.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's nice.
So it was a lot of fun.
Well, like when you have a success in dance and theater and stuff like that, it really shows you that it was really community based.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's like kind of like the main thing of how you guys build, right?
Absolutely. It's so, our community is amazing in supporting us. We don't just receive support from Raleigh. We have expressors that travel as far as Lumberton to take class weekly. So it was truly amazing. And this was our first sold out concert ever.
Nice.
So
how's that feel?
It feels amazing.
Right? Is it like
really
an accomplishment?
does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
People don't realize how much we put into what I like to call a growing business. I don't necessarily love the term small business. My goal is not to keep us small. My goal is to grow us into a place where the community, their children, as well as their village, they feel warm, welcomed. They feel the gratitude that we bestow upon them, and we feel the quiet gratitude that they bestow upon us.
Yeah.
One thing about being a business owner, we know that complaints are loud and gratitude is quiet.
Right.
They show quiet gratitude in so many different ways. I have an expressor, and it's probably in my purse, that made me a green and orange bracelet, because green and orange are our studio colors for nature and prosperity. Prosperity, a lot of times people think money, right?
Right.
But prosperity comes in so many different ways.
There's so many layers to it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we want them to acknowledge the different levels of prosperity in what they do in our program.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. So it's not just about the dance, but it's about like everything else about life.
Absolutely. Even when I walk into the building, because I don't teach all the classes, thank goodness, but when I walk into, yes, it is a lot. I believe, as the owner and creative director, I believe in working on the business more than working in the business. That's how we move forward. That's how we bring all of this amazing creativity that North Carolina has to offer into our programs.
Yeah.
I walked into the building once and the expressors just kept saying, they called me Miss B. So they kept saying, hi, Miss B, hi, Miss B, hi, Miss B. And I'm like, hi. And I know all of their names. I don't care if they're 2 or 18, they have the expectation to be recognized, and I will recognize them. And their instructor's like, all right, back to class. So they're just a joy to be around. The
awesome.
other part of our program is the summer season, which we are currently in. It's a 6-week program. It has dance and music because we offer African djembe drum classes. But it allows them to really ramp up in those 6 weeks. So the performance season, it's progressive technique. They learn, and then they review and learn more. Intensives are, they learn this week, they have a combination, and then the next week it's a whole another type of term and technique that they are learning.
So is it performance at the end of that week, or?
They do not have a performance. Gotcha. It's the combination is for their information.
Okay.
So when they return in the performance season, they have almost that competitive edge against the other expressors. And they're like, when did you learn a toe stand and tap? Oh, we were working on that in tap 2 over the summer. So it's pretty cool because they all want to do great together, but they also want to become the leader of that class, and everyone wants to move up.
Sure, yeah.
That's
always the goal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really good. That reminds me of like, I feel like more people should do that kind of thing, right? Just focusing on like form, for example, is a huge thing, right? I come from a martial arts background.
Okay.
And so like there's obviously martial arts classes, and there's different teachers teaching this different ways.
Yes.
But there needs to be more emphasis on form correction and like just focusing on that and stuff like that. So and just focusing on technique, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's what you're doing pretty much.
Yes, I really enjoy that. I had, one of the classes I teach is African, and after class, while I was waiting for my Tap 1 expressors, I saw one of my African expressors outside with her dad showing him what she learned.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that the goal? For them to retain that information, but also to find joy in what they just learned.
Have you heard of tambor?
No, I haven't.
It's Afro-Venezuelan music.
Oh.
And I think you would enjoy it.
Okay.
And that seems like a fun thing to incorporate into your
I
little
would,
dances and stuff like that. Maybe I'll send you like a couple songs or something. Like that.
I would love to hear more.
Yeah, it's because you got that African like don right?
Yes.
Like, and then but like the way tambor works is as soon as you hear the music, everybody gets in a circle, and then like 2 people are dancing, and then they switch out partners and stuff like that.
I love that. I know that our djembe expressors, because that's the only class that is seated the entire lesson, they actually have a drum circle at the end of their class. So
nice.
These expressors start at age 5. The 5-year-olds are so much fun. And then they go all the way up to 18. And the way that they vibe during the drum circle is amazing.
Nice.
Amazing.
I like
and
that.
They're even walking out of the studio and they're just like air drumming.
Yeah.
So it's so cool, to watch them.
Yeah. The joy in their eyes and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's like a family coming together.
It really is. It really is. So
but yeah, let's start from the top. Where are you from?
Well, I'm pretty sure you heard an accent. I am from New York.
Okay. Gotcha.
I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. I lived in New York for over 30 years.
Oh, wow. Were you dancing then? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
So I started dancing when I was 4 years old.
Nice.
At a studio. It was called Gloria Jackson. Gloria Jackson was a Black woman who started a dance school in the early 70s, something unheard of at the time. She had one storefront on Merritt Boulevard in Queens.
Yeah.
And by the time I graduated from her program when I was 18, she had the entire block.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So she acquired 9 storefronts on Merritt Boulevard, had an amazing program, which I actually model Expressions in Rhythm Studio. I model us according to the program that I grew up in.
Oh, interesting.
And it was just a joy. It was such a vibe to be there.
Yeah, it seems like a big impact on your life.
Absolutely.
Were your parents dancers or anything like that?
No, okay. My parents were not dancers.
But they put you in dance.
They put me in dance because they say I had no rhythm.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. My parents were not dancers, but if you watch, like, if you're a nostalgic type person, if you watch Soul Train and the Soul Train dancers, that was my parents. They could move.
Okay.
They could, keep up with the best of them. And they had this daughter that had no rhythm.
This 4-year-old daughter that can't do anything.
We're not doing this, no. So they put me in dance and I fell in love.
Nice.
Yeah, I fell in love with the dance aspect. I have 3 brothers, so I'm the only girl. I fell in love with the community aspect, having dance sisters and dance brothers. Right. And then as I really grew into dance, I fell in love with the audition process on Broadway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I met some...
You like the intensity of it, or... Because that's pretty intense, isn't it?
I did. It's very different now. So I have expressors that audition for commercials, and I actually have one graduating next June 25, who wants to attend college and then pursue a career in dance.
Nice.
And she's super excited about that aspect, as I was when I was on the circuit, because we went to New York in January of 2023.
Like a kind of with the group.
Yes, and we saw a play called Juliet. It was amazing, and it was based off of Romeo and Juliet, but it was more of a modern take on it.
Okay.
So part of the behind the scenes was they had a lesson with the head choreographer.
Right.
And she got called out to dance with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was like, I usually don't do this, but I want to dance with you. Huh. So that's when everyone said, okay, being part of Expressions in Rhythm Studio, the performance company who they perform around the Triangle, and dance company who compete and win.
Yeah.
They knew they were on to something when they decided to be part of our program. It was an amazing experience.
Dancers and actors, that's transitioning from dance to theater is a huge and fairly easy thing to do because you're in tune with your body.
Yes.
And that's what acting's all about. It's connecting the mind with the body.
Yes.
So, yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of dancers, do they usually transition into theater and stuff like that?
Typically, yes.
Yeah.
1% make it. It's a tough industry, which is why when she's actually the captain of our competitive dance program. When this dancer was called out to dance with a head choreographer on Broadway, it made not only her fellow team members sit up, but their parents. They realized this wasn't just a small dance school in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Right.
Expressions and Rhythm Studio will take you places.
That's awesome. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
What kind of dance did you start off in when you were a little girl?
I started off in a tap and ballet class.
Interesting.
So
did you like it? You like tap?
I love tap.
Yeah.
To this day, I absolutely love tap.
I remember when I was in elementary school, I took tap for one day and because they had it.
Yeah.
And in class, and I ended up being so good. She was like, "You come up in front and show these people how it's done." All right. Let me dance.
Absolutely love tap.
Yeah.
I know that ballet is necessary. It teaches so much about alignment and grace and agility that a lot of people don't recognize in ballet. We see the beauty in it, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And I know growing up, when I was in ballet, I was like, nope, this isn't for me. Not realizing how important it was at the time.
Oh, interesting.
We're so fortunate that we have a member of the Carolina Ballet.
Nice.
She heads up our ballet program.
Okay, gotcha.
And it starts with a class called mini ballet. So ages 5 through 7, you could take this class with our ballet instructor. And she starts at the very beginning. So arm placement, which are called your port-de-bras, and then your feet placement, which are called the positions.
Right.
And then we have our ballet 1 class. And then once you become very proficient in that, you move up to our ballet 2 class.
Question for you.
Yes.
So I'm curious about it because I used to teach acting.
Okay.
And so it was like munchkin ages to adults.
Yes.
But like, would you, in that first class that they take, would it be a like kind of a recital at the end of class? Not at the end of the session?
Yes.
Like semester, I guess you could say.
We have so many different classes, including a musical theater class, which incorporates dance and acting. And every class, with the exception of our jumps, leaps, and turn class, because that's a technique-only class.
Okay, gotcha.
Every class, from our creative movement, which is our pre-dance for our babies, they all participate in all performances, showcase and concert.
I bet that's cute to watch.
It's adorable. So creative movement, they learn 3 different types of dance. Okay. So they learn ballet, jazz, and hip hop. And every week it rotates. So at our showcase, we had an expresser. She was 3 at the time.
Yeah.
She stood on stage. She rubbed her eyes. Never cried. Just rubbed her eyes the entire time. So I came out on stage, something I've had to do twice in 10 years. I came out on stage and I just held her hand and we just swung together. And all of a sudden she gently let go of my hand. And boy, did she dance.
Nice.
She just felt so comfortable after that. And it was just, she needed a little reassurance. So fast forward to June, our concert. And she looked at me and she said, "Miss B, I'm ready." I said, "Okay, you're going to do great. I know you're going to do great." Since it was a theme and an experience for our concert, we revisited season 4, which was Moonwalker. It was we paid homage to Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And she got on that stage with the rest of her class, danced to Ease On Down the Road. We had 8 Dorothys up there, and they actually did their dance.
Nice.
And I was not behind the scenes doing the dance for them. They did it independently, but that's what the training is for.
Right.
They trained from September to June for that moment.
Wow.
That will last a lifetime.
Yeah. That's quite a long time, too,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever get that one student that just does his own thing and just goes off?
Of course. But that's why they're called expressors. They express themselves.
That's true.
There's nothing wrong with coloring outside the lines when you're 2, 3, and 4 years old. That's our preschool program. When they reach our mini program, which is ages 5 through 7, that's where the structure comes in. So if they're brand new to dance, not sure what they want to take, we offer 2 combination classes, tap ballet combination and jazz hip hop combination.
Gotcha.
Once they feel more comfortable in their dance abilities, or they're part of performance company or dance company. They branch out into the mini classes.
Gotcha.
And those are more structured. So
nice. I really like the progression that you guys take.
Yes.
It's really nice. Because like at a young age, they get to express themselves, and then, okay, let's get into structure, stuff like that. So it's almost like they're trying to find themselves during that beginning period, and
Absolutely.
then tune in to what they really want.
Yes, we have expressors during the performance season. They will take the typical dance styles, ballet, jazz, hip hop, tap. And then in the summer, they want to branch out. So that's where they'll explore musical theater, acro, African, liturgical. And typically that's also when they fall in love.
What is lethargic?
Liturgical?
Liturgical.
So liturgical means public worship.
Oh.
So it's a form of praise dance.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's done to types of music that glorify God.
Huh.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that's a new thing. I didn't know that.
Yes. I actually started teaching that. I started teaching that as an adult back in New York, 93.
Yeah.
And when we first decided to incorporate it into the studio, we were like, we don't know how this is going to go.
Right.
And that liturgical dance class is doing so well. We're thinking about offering a second class to our more advanced expressors.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Is it more like, say, gospel based or like African based?
It's more gospel based,
Okay, gotcha.
but we don't keep the music in a certain Christian genre. So we branch out. One day you could hear Tasha Cobbs Leonard. Another day you could hear Lecrae. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a wide range of music that honors and gives glory to God.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then they get to express themselves.
Absolutely, every time.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, going back to you growing up, you started at 4.
Yes.
And then you just kind of continued on. Was there a transition in your dance career that happened after 4 years old? Obviously there was, but when was it?
So I would say when I turned about 7, that's when I realized what I truly enjoyed when it came to dance. So fell in love with African, fell in love with tap.
Were you I know that you probably encourage your students to try different things, right?
Yes.
So like, is that because you tried different things as a young kid and you found that it kind of helped you out?
I feel like I encourage them to try new things because dance, music, the arts should bring you joy.
Yeah.
And if you're in African because your parent is making you take this class because they want you to become more culturally enriched, you'll never find joy in it. But if you want to take African because you enjoy wearing the lapa, so that is the kente material that we wear in African, or you enjoy doing the contract and release, and how African can have sharp movements one moment and fluid movements the next, that's the class for you.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's what I look for when I have expressors in my class.
Yeah, like I remember when I was teaching acting, I would see students, they would be in my class and stuff like that, and then I would recommend other classes to them because I feel like that would be, so that's like kind of something similar you do.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It is. Especially when I see that they truly have a gift and they need more. So I have a tap expressor, very good dancer, but he is so expressive that contemporary, which is the best class for someone who has that structural training in ballet and jazz, which he has also, it gives them an opportunity to color outside the lines. Ballet is all about the rules. Contemporary is all about breaking the rules.
Okay. That's good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a flexed foot or a flat foot, which we typically don't do in dance. And it's a beautiful genre to watch, but it's so different from every other type of dance. But I told him, I said, you would love it. Absolutely love
contemporary?
It.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I think I'm going to try it in the performance season. So when we go back in September.
Nice.
Right now he's just dedicated to tap. He wants to try something different, and he's doing really well.
That's good. I mean, it all connects, right?
All the time.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
But you transitioned into jazz, you said?
Yes. So then I started taking jazz, and I enjoyed it. But I started with tap and ballet. When I was 7, I left ballet. Don't leave ballet, but I left ballet for African.
Gotcha.
Fell in love with it. Then I took so many classes. It was so funny, not to digress, but
sure.
I have 2 children, 25 and 17, and my 17-year-old was going through a box of just my memories, and she took out a program from 1990 from my dance school and was going through it. She's like, you were in a lot of dances. Yeah, I was. I loved it that much. So when I was 7, I went to African. 8, I tacked on jazz. And fast forward to when I was 13, we had the debut of a show in New York called Good Day New York. It was brand new. They were trying to find their way in the Big Apple. And they came to our dance school and said, we'd like to feature you.
Nice.
They were very well known in the community. At the time, we had half the block, half of Merrick Boulevard. So they said, we see that you're growing and we want to know more about what you offer. So I was in the class that was featured, and although I love performing, I was always that kid that you could find in the 3rd row to the left. Don't put me up front. I don't want to be up front. I just want to dance. I love dancing. And I was back there and expressing myself. And Miss Roseanne Scotto, who to this day is still part of Good Day New York after all of these years, she looked at me and she said, can you stand here? And everybody just kind of parted, and I came up.
It's like, woo, the tunnel vision.
Yes. And at 13 years old, I didn't know where dance would take me, but I knew that joy that I felt, not being front and center, but having the value in what I do recognize.
Right.
That was it for me.
So let's talk about that little piece right there. Like, okay, she says step in front. Like, what was going through your mind?
I was terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified. I moved really slow.
Did you let them see it though?
No.
Okay.
My parents were so supportive in everything both myself and my brothers did growing up, that it was never slumped over. It was roll those shoulders back, show that confidence, show that you could do it.
Yeah.
So even if we thought we couldn't do it, you would never see us sweat.
Yeah.
So as they parted and I walked through and I stood there with my smile, and my teacher said 5, 6, 7, 8, it was on.
Boom. Yeah. It's just like a click, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's when you know you got it.
Yes.
When you could switch it on like that.
Absolutely.
But that's a great thing that your parents, kind of built that confidence in you guys.
Yeah.
Or at least fake it till you make it kind of thing. I don't know.
I with them it was more like face it till you make it.
Oh.
So you have to have that confidence in yourself, but you also have to have the faith that you can do it. Sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves that it's not going to work because you don't believe in yourself. But if you believe in yourself, and if you have the confidence that you have an ounce of the abilities that are needed, you could do it.
Right. Yeah. That's very interesting. And obviously, like, I could tell, like, by you talking, I could tell that's what you kind of do with your own studio.
Yes.
Like so,
yes, absolutely.
What do you? Okay, so let's talk about confidence a little bit more. I'm sure you get students in there that are shy. You know, they just want to dance in the dark.
Yes.
That kind of thing. So what kind of things do you do to build up that confidence?
So that is typically what I receive during the first class.
Okay.
We recently moved to a brand new location because we outgrew our old location.
Congrats.
Thank you. And in moving, we received so many new expressors. Don't know our program, not familiar with any of the instructors.
Right.
And they walked into the programs looking that way. So when we have our warm-up time, which is the first 10 minutes of class, I just talk to them. How was your day?
Yeah.
Are you doing anything fun for the 4th? Oh, the beach sounds amazing. And slowly you see the nerves leave them.
Yeah.
During cool down, which is the last 10 minutes of class, I say, who was excited to walk into this class? And they'll all raise their hand and they're all smiling. And then I say, who was nervous? And probably 90% will raise their hand.
Wow.
And I'll say, are you still excited? Yes. Are you still nervous? No.
I like the way you put that because, like, it shows to them that, hey, you're not the only one.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
I used to, when I get new students and we would just kind of like sit in a circle and just talk, kind of trying to build some rapport. But then, like, I would get up and, like, let's do some improv. All right, let's loosen up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, do you do a lot of, like, improv dance in your...
I know our hip hop program instructor, he does a lot of improv. So he has a dance circle that he does with his class at the end. Okay. And then African, we have a circle that we do. So it allows them, usually they'll do what we learned in class, which is kind of neat to see. And then the African djembe drumming class, they have their drum circle at the end. So that allows them to improv. And we can't forget musical theater.
All right. Yeah,
that's all about improv. And, you know, that's the one class, if you want to express yourself, you need to take musical theater. So they have moments where our musical theater program instructor she'll put on a super familiar song from a Broadway play, and they just have so much fun with it.
Do they improv it?
They do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's important
to
learn how to do, because you got to, like, learn things on the fly, really, pretty much. And have a flow to it too, not just stopping.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's see, you got into jazz later on.
Yes.
So it's because that's right. You didn't like ballet.
No.
Even though you regretted it.
Yes. When we started the studio, because my husband is co-owner and artistic director.
Okay.
When we started the studio, the one thing I said to myself was, I can't do it all, I need a team. So I started building a team of people who were in the industry, and I knew that ballet is so specialized that we needed to make sure that program always had the best of the best. And we have always gone to the Carolina Ballet for that.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Always. So our current instructor, because we know that the pandemic set a lot of businesses back.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough to grow during the pandemic, which, yes. And in that growth, we received a phenomenal ballet instructor that has been with us ever since.
That's awesome.
Yes. And she just not only teaches the fundamentals and foundation, but she's so personable with our ballet program expressors that they look forward to ballet. That's something I didn't look forward to growing up. My ballet instructor was very strict, which that's what you need in ballet. You need that discipline.
Right.
But it was like walking around as we were doing our bar work with this stick and to help us with that musicality. So I was like, nope, don't like this. Whereas our ballet instructor, she's strict, still, keeping with the technique and the foundation of ballet. But when an expressor doesn't get it right, we have a philosophy where we don't say no, it's more yes if. So she'll say, okay, let's work on that rond de jambe. Let's make sure that we point that toe, keep the turnout going, and go all the way around. The alternative is saying, that's not right. You did it wrong.
Right.
That's to no. So we believe in the yes if philosophy.
Oh, that's a good philosophy.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you find that, do you recommend a certain order in the types of dance for people to start in?
We do.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we incorporate ballet, jazz, and hip hop into creative movement is once the preschool expressors complete that program, it gives them an opportunity to see what else is out there.
Right.
So typically they will start in the combo classes. They'll start in tap ballet combination as well as jazz hip hop combination, because 3 of those dance styles they've already experienced.
Right.
And everyone loves tap because the metal on the shoes. They just want to make noise in class. And then they find that it takes balance to tap. It takes that extra musicality to tap because we teach rhythmatic tap. So they find that out when they turn 5. So once they turn 7 and graduate from the mini program, that's where the levels begin.
Right.
So that's where what you've learned, for the past 5 years is put into a whole nother realm.
Right.
And I know that when I started taking jazz, it took me a while to keep up. When I went into, we didn't have a mini program, but the 7-year-old program was very different from the 8-year-old program.
Oh, really?
And that's kind of how we are. Once you go from that mini program to the junior program, which starts the levels, you learn more than just, a Shanae turn or a bop ma, which is the brush kick off the ground.
Like the basics?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So that's when you learn leaps, so to shas. And it's just a whole nother part of the dance journey.
Yeah.
And they recognize that and they're like, oh, I was like, how was your first class in the levels? It was tough, but it was fun. They have all these emotions and they don't know how to, process them, but they know they want more.
Yeah, that's a good place to be too.
It really
that shows
is.
that, okay, the curriculum's working, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think when I had that first jazz class at 7, well, I did jazz at 8. I did African at 7. That's when I was like, oh, I'm sweating. I'm not used to this. You're used to the fun aspect of dance, but the work that you have to put in, that's when it's like, yeah, this is a lot.
Yeah.
But I want more.
Right. So it took you a while to get used to jazz?
Yes.
Gotcha. What was it about jazz that made it difficult?
Spotting.
Spotting, what does that mean?
So spotting is when you have turns in dance, you have to focus on one place in the studio.
Yeah.
And then as you turn, you have to keep that spot and you have to come right back to it.
Interesting.
That's what keeps dancers from getting dizzy.
Right, yeah, I see the dancers do that, right.
Yes, so spotting in jazz was tough for me. Getting off the ground, right? Engaging your core when you perform a soda shot, so not a grand jeté leap. But when you're coming off the ground and you have to keep your form in place and you have to keep that alignment as you come up, it was so tough for me.
Interesting.
I was determined to get it, and I did.
Well, are you the type of person that like stayed after hours or something like that, or did you just like within time in class you got it?
It was both my time in class, because my jazz teacher was phenomenal, but also it was me practicing outside of class. So my family, they were sick of me after a while because I wanted to get good at what I did.
Yeah.
And I would practice outside of class. So we encourage our expressors to do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to do, you know. Okay, so then you got into jazz, you got in, you know, you're doing good with that. What was the next transition for you?
So I stayed with African, tap, and jazz for years.
Yeah.
I also, when I turned 11, I incorporated a musical theater class.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun. So it was back in New York, we called it theater learning.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. And they allowed us to put our own spin on how we perform musical theater. So our recitals, because that's what we called them in New York, they also had a theme and experience. So I was able to have that theater part of me in the cast, and then the dance part of me in the performances.
Nice.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, that seems fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Did you ever have any like stage nerves or anything like that?
I would say every time.
Every time?
Every time I hit the stage, even when our expressors, especially our competitive dance program, when they go on stage, I see it before they ever go center stage.
Yeah.
That the nerves are just, you know, you can see their hands shaking, and I look at them and I tell them what my tap teacher, who was the GOAT. I believe he teaches in Vegas now.
Oh, wow.
He's like in his 80s.
Oh, wow.
But he was phenomenal. He was part of the Broadway circuit. He was one of the Lindy Hop dancers in the opening of Malcolm X.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, he was absolutely phenomenal.
Damn.
And my jazz teacher was in that opening too, fun fact. But I do because tap was the genre that I knew would take me where I wanted to go. I was that good in tap.
Really?
And when I would become a ball of nerves, and this is what I do to our competitive dance team, I look at them just like he looked at me, and I said, "You're here because you deserve to be here. You earned this spot. Go show them what you can do."
I think people forget that.
And that was it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like holding my hand and, "I'm so sorry you're feeling this way." No. This is what you were designed to do.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Right. Go shine.
Go shine. The motto for the studio, which was created on August 2nd, 2014, is "Don't fit in, stand out."
I like that.
And we have held firm to that throughout the years. We've added on different mottos to align with our core values. So, you know, we tell people that we are community focused and technique based, but "Don't fit in, stand out" has always been our tried and true motto.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's nice. That prevents I feel like that prevents cliques from happening too.
Yes.
And you know, when it comes to dance, theater, it doesn't matter. Like cliques can be involved very quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have our lyrical class is filled with mostly our competitive dance program. Yeah. They love lyrical. And again, I say this about all of our instructors because they truly are. Our lyrical instructor is amazing. And they have new people that are not part of the competitive program come into Lyrical, and they always welcome them.
Yeah.
Always welcome them. And I think that the new expressors are so surprised how welcoming our established expressors are.
Right.
Because we don't believe in cliques. We don't believe in, you have these reality shows where dance parents are not always the kindest.
Right.
And we don't believe in that. We've been so fortunate that the parents who choose to be part of our community, they don't believe in that also.
That's good.
And every once in a while, one sneaks in or two sneak in, and then they realize that we are not the program for them because we don't do that. The expressors don't do that.
Right.
The staff, EIR studio team, they don't do that. You would think they all knew each other for years. They welcome new team members just like they've been there for years.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's the community that we have built, but also it's the community that is expected of us. That's what we have shown over the past 10 years. So why would you expect anything different?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would always say in my first day of class of teaching would be no cliques.
Yes.
If you see somebody sitting by themselves, go up to them, stuff like that. So it really just does help out.
Yeah.
And like you said, it just welcomes everybody.
Yes.
From the start. So. So did you have a goal in mind when you were dancing throughout? You said you took tap and that's like you really wanted to go for that. But like, what was there a goal?
So my initial goal was to dance on Broadway.
Okay.
I lived 30 minutes from Manhattan.
Yeah.
Why not? That was my initial goal. I did so many different auditions, had bit parts in both Broadway and off-Broadway performances, but also Broadway at the time, the industry at the time was not as, it was more body conscious. So they knew exactly what they were looking for. Whether it was the form, the gender, ethnicity, it was a tough nut to crack back then. So when I would go on the circuit and I had to dance on stage with 50 people, and then it came down to the top 3. Even if I didn't book the job, it was such a sense of accomplishment.
To get that far?
Yes. Yeah. Typically, the people that got that far did not look like me.
Right.
They were not a person of color. They were not, I'm 5'7", which, believe it or not, is considered short for the industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they were typically taller than me, and they were typically thinner than me. So when I made it that far, and they looked at me like, where'd she come from? And then they saw my dance abilities. It was like, oh, that's where she came from.
Right.
So that was a huge sense of accomplishment.
That's nice.
Once I became a wife and a mother, I put my career on hold, and I went out and got that good old 9 to 5.
Right.
And then we moved here. And we have this amazing daughter that we said she would actually be good in dance, so why not put her in dance? We put her in dance, attended her recital, and my dad and one of my brothers were texting me during the recital, and they're like, you could do this. You could start a dance school. And I'm like, no, I can't. Stop texting me during the show. I'm not doing this.
Right.
That was in 2011. My father passed in 2012. And he passed 5 days before my daughter's recital. So we're like, do we go? Do we not? What do we do?
Yeah.
And my husband's like, well, we have to go. I mean, she's performing.
How did your daughter take it? Like, is she able to do it with him?
Yeah, she was
passing?
young. She didn't know what was going on. She was 5 years old.
Okay.
So we all went very somberly to her recital. And my middle brother, who was texting me in 2011 with my dad, he looked at me and he said, "You could do this." I said, "All right." Well, of course, our family was in grief. So we were like, doesn't feel like the right time now. I'm a planner. My staff, who we call the EIR studio team, they love that about me, that I'm a planner. So I took 2 years to develop our brand.
Wow.
From the logo to the colors to the font that we would use.
Interesting.
2 years to develop what the program would look like.
Right.
What the syllabi would look like for each class. Where we wanted to have the location. And then in 2014, we decided we wanted to open.
You felt like you were ready at the time?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost like that prep is what made you stay long term.
Yes, absolutely. If it was not for those 2 years of planning, we would not have survived the first season. Our business is a village business. Our son took djembe class and was so good until he graduated high school.
Yeah.
And now he is our facilities coordinator.
Oh, nice.
Our daughter has grown up in the program. She graduates in 2025 and has had so many opportunities from her family business. My dad was, his greatest hobby was photography.
Nice.
For the first 8 years of our business, my oldest brother, I'm the oldest of 4, so my brother that comes right after me, he took the photos for every showcase and every concert. My sister-in-law was our performance coordinator. She worked behind the scenes. She would sell programs. She did it all for us. Damn. My nephews were in the djembe program.
Yeah.
My mom was our receptionist for the first 5 years of our business. And because my dad never saw the business come to fruition, we have an educational memorial scholarship named for him.
Very nice.
So the concert takes place the day before Father's Day every year, because he did not get to see that last Father's Day. He passed 6 days before it. So we have a scholarship that we give out every year in his name. We have a father-daughter dance dedicated to him every year.
Yeah.
That fathers, not just fathers, but we have grandfathers, uncles, godfathers participate in it. Wow. And this past concert, for the first time ever, we awarded 2 scholarships. It's always to a graduating expresser pursuing a secondary educational degree, so going to get an associate or a bachelor's. Right. But also we awarded it to what we call a non-expresser. That's our joke with her. We have an expresser who graduated from the program, received the scholarship back in 2016. And she has a younger sister that has always worked behind the scenes. And in 2024, she graduated from high school, had no idea she was receiving the scholarship, and we awarded it to her. Nice. And it felt so good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like that. Damn. That's really nice. Yeah. That's really nice. So, like, did you start that like the first year that you opened, or was that like, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so we started the scholarship the first year that we opened. Yeah. We always had the father-daughter dance. So,
so talk to me about the first year.
Yeah.
Right. So when that happened, and okay, the day's done, the whole thing's done. You awarded the scholarships. How did that feel for you?
It was a very gratifying experience. Our first concert in 2014, we did not have any graduating expressors, so we did not award the scholarship. But the dads and their daughters and grandfathers, because we had a couple of grandfathers in there, they danced off of My Girl by the Temptations, because that was my father-daughter song when I got married. So me and my dad danced off of My Girl. So they danced off of it in the first concert we've ever had.
Did you tear up?
I did.
Yeah, I'm sure.
However, the concert that we had this past June, because it was Blast from the Past, the dads and daughters danced off of My Girl again.
Oh, nice.
And I was so emotional because it was for sure a full circle moment. Not only because that was me and my dad's song, but also to watch my daughter and my husband. You know, the first time our daughter was up there, she was 7 years old dancing with her dad. Now she's 17 dancing with her dad. So it was so emotional, and even watching how the daughters just did the waltz with their dads, and how the dads were willing to get on stage and not feel perfect, but they looked phenomenal dancing with their daughters. It was such a high moment for me as the owner, the visionary, the dads and daughters, who the daughters are part of our program, but also the audience. There were members of the audience that became emotional throughout that. But that's why we are community-based. That means a lot.
You really share that love. You see the love, so you want to spread the love, and then it just kind of trickles down from there.
Yeah, especially, you know, we are a multicultural performing arts studio. 90% of our clients are Black. Not necessarily just African American. Some come from the Caribbean. Some come from the continent of Africa. So to see them on that stage with their dads, when society tells us otherwise, that Black fathers are non-existent, and you get to see these 8 Black fathers on stage with their daughters, enjoying this moment. Can't beat it.
Man, it's like you're healing trauma.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And honestly, I remove myself from that moment because that's them dancing with their daughters. I might have taught them to dance, but they're performing it. That's their moment. And I love it. Yeah.
That's nice. That's really nice. So going back a little bit with tap dancing, you did that for quite a while, right?
Yes.
Up until when? You were an adult?
Well, I took tap from 4 to 17. And then I started teaching tap when I was 19. So I acted as an assistant, and we have a similar program. We call it the EIR Studio Ambassador Program. So it allows the upper levels, so level 2 and level 3 expressors from ages 13 to 18 to assist in classes, to assist during our performances, but also you shadow a team member. So if you love hip hop, then you're going to shadow our hip hop program instructor, and it gives them more insight to what we do behind the scenes.
It could be completely different.
Absolutely.
Than what you're used to.
So getting up and teaching dance is not what we do. We plan weekly our lessons. We have monthly meetings at local restaurants. And we use what's called the Eisenhower Matrix to I love project management. So it helps us plan out our foreseeable future.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it shows you what's important and urgent. So that's what we have to tackle within the next 48 hours.
Right.
What's urgent but not important? That's your weekly task. What's important but not urgent? That's monthly. And then what's not important and not urgent, that's quarterly.
Gotcha.
So that's how we plan
Nice.
with the team.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, but the ambassadors, they get to experience the Eisenhower Matrix. They learn how to cut music.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
important.
So that I was part of a similar program. We were called assistants. But with the beautiful age of social media, our expressors that are in that program, they don't want to be assistants. They want to be part. So that's why we call them ambassadors. They get cool merch like this shirt.
There you go.
But that's what I did during my transition. So
Okay.
I acted. We did not have that program while you were in Gloria Jackson. You graduated from Gloria Jackson and then became an assistant. So I did that for a year. And then I took over the younger tappers. So the beginning classes, I took that over. I had the beginning African classes. So that was interesting because they knew me as Belinda.
Yeah.
So it was like, Belinda, Belinda, Belinda. And then they had to get to know me as Miss B.
Yeah.
Because they had to call us, again, I modeled Expressions in Rhythm Studio after the program that I grew up in.
Right.
So they had to get used to calling me Miss B, and some of them were kind of my peers, so that took some getting used to.
Yeah. Did the how was it teaching for the first time on your own?
It was nerve-wracking. It was, I knew how the programs worked. I knew the syllabus for tap and the syllabus for African. But I truly had to study it to make sure that I stayed on brand. So we do the same for our team. We make sure that we stay on brand with everything we do. And hip hop was not a big genre back then.
Right.
But now hip hop is everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of like the main one. Right?
Yeah, it's so culturally based, but you also want to make sure that it's age appropriate.
Right.
So
That's true.
that is sometimes a challenge. We have a lot of instrumental music on our playlist. We all use the same device just to keep us on brand and on track. And back when I taught, we had records and cassette tapes.
Nice.
And eventually went to CDs, which was hard for me to use at first because we were used to these other devices. But again, we had to stay on brand and we had to stay on task. And it was important that, we stayed within Miss Jackson's vision.
Right.
Unfortunately, she passed away in the 90s. And I loved teaching, so I went to another studio that was very different from what I grew up in and grew up teaching in. And it made me realize that I missed what I initially did. The studio that I wind up teaching at later on in the 90s, it was financially driven. It wasn't community based.
Gotcha.
And I knew that although having a business, you have to make money, right? That's
Sure.
how you sustain your business.
Yeah.
If that's not the focal point, believe it or not, the money will come more frequently.
Yeah.
So the families that invest in Expressions and Rhythm Studio are not looking at it as, oh my goodness, I'm just throwing all this money into this dance school, right? Because that's common language that's used. It's more, they see the value in what their children are accomplishing. I had an expressor come to us as the pandemic was ending.
Yeah.
And she was so shy, did not want to speak to anyone, did not want to interact with anyone. Mm-hmm. She just wanted to take class and keep going.
Right.
And she graduated this year and was one of our scholarship recipients.
Nice.
To see her come out of her shell, to watch her evolve, was just so, it was breathtaking.
Yeah.
To watch her the last time on stage. And once the curtains closed and we have all these children on stage that we have to dismiss. And the way we dismiss them, I don't mean to get off topic, is we hold up signs according to their classes. Mm-hmm. So if you're in the Monday class at 5 o'clock, you're dismissed first.
Gotcha.
If you're in that Friday class at 5 o'clock, you're going to hang out with Miss B for a little bit behind the scenes. But this expressor had a Monday class at 8 o'clock. And the team is holding up the signs in front of the curtain. And they came back and they said, we're calling this class. I know some of them are back here. Mm-hmm. And the expressor is just looking at me. She said, I'm going to miss you. Mm. I don't know what I'm going to do without Expressions in Rhythm Studio. I said, you're going to do so much because you were part of Expressions in Rhythm Studio.
Yeah.
And that's when she decided to go and be with her family.
Oh.
Yeah.
You made me tear up.
Yeah, it was a moment, and it I love what we do. I love what we stand for, but I realize as we have expressors that move away, because we do get military families transition out of our program because they are going off to college, the impact.
Yeah, it's everything, right?
That's the biggest reward, is the impact.
I mean, talking about how that lady was in her shell and she had to come out of it, right? Like, the first step is to show up. And that's most of the work right there.
Yes.
And it's just a little bit more to get, the rest of it.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they just need a reminder.
That's it. Yeah.
That's all it is. Oh, you're doing great things.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So as an adult dancing, did your goals change at that point?
Yes.
I don't know when you had your kids and all that stuff, so I'm not sure.
Yes, so my children are 8 years apart. So I had one in my 20s, one in my 30s.
Okay, gotcha.
Initially, it was all about Broadway.
Right.
That was my end goal, and I booked some bit parts. The industry is very different than how it appears. It appears very glitz and glam. It is a grind.
Right.
It is truly a grind. So once I got married and started having children, my priorities changed.
That's right, yeah.
I became...
So that's what happened in your 20s?
Yes.
Gotcha. I
became very active in my church. So that's how I was introduced to liturgical. And I enjoyed doing that. I taught for different area studios for some time, but could never find that same joy that I had when I was with Gloria Jackson all those years. And then I moved down here when I was in my 30s.
Yeah. Why down here?
My husband, he was transferred down here.
Oh, military?
No, with his job.
Oh, job, gotcha.
Yeah, so they gave him an offer that we could not refuse. And he was like, honey, we're going to North Carolina. And I was like, why? Not realizing that this was where we were meant to be.
Right. How was that experience for you when you first moved down here?
It was different.
Yeah?
North Carolina back in 2007 is very different than North Carolina.
What part of North Carolina did you move?
We moved to Raleigh.
Raleigh, okay, gotcha.
So we've always lived in Raleigh. But it was more rural when we moved down here.
Yeah.
There was no supermarket. We moved into a pretty new subdivision. There was no supermarkets, no nothing.
Right.
So we had to travel everywhere. It took a lot of getting used to. And since our son was 9 when we moved down here, our daughter was 1.
Yeah.
I stayed home for a while. And realized that I was that wasn't what I wanted to do full time, was stay home with my child. So
did you feel like you needed like to move your body or something like that? Go dance?
or even just my mind, you know. I love reading, I love writing, but I needed more. Right. So I did go back. My 9-to-5 background is human resources. So I've done that. I started doing that in the 90s because one thing about being in the arts is it always does not pay your full-time bills, so you need a full-time job.
Right.
So I went into human resources. I continued that when I moved down here. But I knew that I wanted more and needed more.
So you were just doing that and you stopped dancing completely?
I stopped dancing.
Gotcha.
I never taught at a studio in North Carolina.
Gotcha.
I stopped teaching when I left New York. But I know I needed more. So we joined a church down here, and I basically sat and observed for 3 years, and somebody was like, I heard you teach dance. And I was like, well, I haven't taught dance in a while. And they're like, well, can we see what you can do? So I did a praise dance, and I taught at a church for 10 years.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I never would have thought like the dance in the church would have a thing. Like,
yeah.
It didn't occur to me.
Yeah. It was so impactful that our pastor who started the church, he had us dance for everything. So it wasn't just, you'll dance, you know, once a month, you'll minister once a month. It was his anniversary or Women's Day, or it was different age groups. It started as 5 dancers, and it went from littles to, you know, members in their 70s worshiping God through dance and flags, and explaining to them the different types of liturgical. Liturgical's more than just getting up and dancing. It's, you know, true worship, true praise. So I did that for 10 years. And
so when you were doing that, did those feelings come back?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that there was something missing. And putting my daughter in praise dance at church and seeing the joy she received from it, in addition to being at a studio dancing. But then once we started the studio, I knew I wanted to be more behind the scenes. I wanted to work on the brand.
Yeah. Because you've been working on it for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's your baby.
Yeah, exactly. But I also knew that I knew what I was looking for in a tap teacher. And never found it.
Oh, interesting.
So I've always taught tap. And then I took on liturgical and African.
Gotcha.
And I've had them for some time, but yeah.
All right.
I love it. Even when I walk through the doors, you know, because we just relocated to a larger location. When we were at the smaller location, I would walk into the doors and just feel so much joy. And I'm like, I don't know if it's looking at the green and orange, or if it's just knowing that so many children occupy this space and love being here. Even during the pandemic years, watching them dance through the screen, and then meeting them in person for the first time once we were able to be in person. It was just, I still have expressors that started online during the pandemic, still dance with us to this day.
Nice, very cool. So when you opened up your studio for the first time, that first day, like obviously there was probably some marketing beforehand.
Yes.
So did you have a worry on that first day, or was it kind of just like, no, everything's running smoothly?
I don't know if I was worried. I know I was concerned because I'm not from here.
Right.
I don't have roots here. I don't have a community that I could say, hey, I'm opening up a performing arts studio, and 100 people will come to this grand opening. It was sweat equity, you know, boots to the ground. We went to every daycare, every church, every Girl Scout troop, every Eagle Scout troop promoting our business. And that grand opening, it was definitely concerning because I did not have any expectations.
Yeah.
When you have expectations, they're either met or not met. And it's very rare they're exceeded. So I didn't want to be disappointed.
Gotcha.
So it was just like, it's either now or never.
Yeah, whatever happens is the day is come.
Yes. So August 30th, 2014, we opened our doors, and we had expressors sign up. They were very excited, and they wanted to be part of the journey.
Yeah.
So before we ever opened our doors in April of 2014, we had an information session. And that's what got the ball rolling. That's what got our name out there.
Oh, interesting.
We had it at a local community center. And then fast forward, we had our grand opening and we started classes. And all of our classes were combined because we were so small to begin.
Right.
And then we had to expand.
Yeah. Was it fairly quickly after that?
It was a process.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. It was probably the first season. The first season we had to expand our classes. So maybe 6 months in.
Yeah. You got to plan for that too. Cause like, how do you plan for that? Cause like, space wise.
Yeah.
Right. Cause it takes space.
It does take space.
And that takes money.
It does. And we did not realize it at the time. So I planned for everything but growth. Yeah. That's the one thing I did not plan for.
Right.
So it was a
What's
lot of...
your first business too? So like...
Yes.
You gotta learn everything.
I never owned a business. I did not have a desire to own a business. I was not looking to be my own boss. Loved teaching dance. If Miss Jackson was still here and we stayed in New York, I would probably still be part of her program. But that was never my desire.
Gotcha.
It was just my dad and my brother. They saw the need for an enriched program that was going to bring value to an underserved community.
Right.
It was nice to watch my daughter dance for those 2 years at the other dance school, but it was not what our community needed. We needed a little more culture, a little more value. We did not want to be we did not want to have a program where people felt like they were a number. You know, your child is one of 12 in this class. Our mini program classes are the largest.
Yeah.
We max out the rooms at 15. So we still keep it pretty small. Average in the area for ages 5 through 7 is 23 students in a class. So we keep it at 15.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, we always have a wait list, which is sometimes we're like, we need to add on more combination classes because of the wait list.
Right.
But we never want anyone to feel like their child is just a number.
Yeah.
Or we're just looking to collect tuition and costume fees. It's so much more than that. And their family members get to see that when they perform. That it's not about perfection, it's about the process.
Right.
And you see where the process is going with them.
Did you have to pivot quickly once you found out that it was about culture and all these other things instead of just like coming in to teach a dance?
I did, yes. Yeah. That culture aspect is important because culture means so many things to so many people. Yeah. Culture could mean I can't come to class today because it's Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
And I have to be home before dark. This is true. I didn't think about that when I was planning your schedule. So, you know, our competitive dance program and our performance company, they can't miss a certain amount of, they can only miss a certain amount of classes. But what do you do when you have cultural beliefs that don't align with our guidelines?
Yeah, what do you do? Do you just...
You move forward with your cultural beliefs.
Okay.
I'm okay making exceptions.
Gotcha.
Y'all know Ms. B will make an exception.
Right.
I'm not going to have you choose between dance and your beliefs.
Right.
I won't do that to you. And the families are so grateful when we do that. You know, it's Ramadan. So we have our dance company has their annual holiday party, and it's Ramadan. So I can't eat certain things. I can't touch certain things. And okay, well, what can you eat? Yeah. We'll make sure we have that on hand for your dance company holiday party.
Gotcha.
That's where the culture comes in. The culture comes in where when my daughter was dancing, it was called a Christmas party. Everybody doesn't celebrate Christmas.
Right.
So that's why we were very cognizant of how we would approach the culture piece.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you appease everyone too, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah?
We do.
Do a good grasp of that?
Yeah, we make sure that when you're celebrating Hanukkah, that's recognized throughout the holidays. This is funny. So we have playlists, we have iPads in each room. And during the holidays, we have holiday music. Yeah. So one of our instructors said, do you have Adam Sandler's Menorah song on the playlist? I do. People recognize that song. Yeah. You know, we have The Office. I'm a huge Office fan. So we have Michael Scott's The Wally song.
Oh, nice.
On the playlist. And they get a kick out of that because they're like, this is the funniest song, right? But it's about that culture. It's not looking for the perfection in the culture. It's looking for the recognition. So you recognized our culture. We have the Christmas in Hollis song by Run DMC on the playlist.
Nice.
Culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel like they have to do all these big things in order for their business to be cultured and diverse and stuff like that. But it doesn't take much work. It really just takes a lot of openness.
Yes.
In yourself in order to see those opportunities.
Yes.
I wish people would know that, you know, get a grasp of that more. But it seems like you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I really I could tell that the place is filled with humbleness, happiness, family,
yes,
and overall joy.
Absolutely. So much joy.
Yeah.
So much gratitude.
Right.
Our instructors after each class, so we tell them class dismissed. That's how they know they can go retrieve their belongings. But we also thank them for coming to class. It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice that your parent, your community member made an effort to bring you here. Right? Not just when the sun is out, when we have snow on the ground, when it's a thunderstorm, when something happens in their family, they make that effort to bring them to class each and every time. It's a choice.
It really is.
And they chose Expressions in Rhythm Studio. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Do you find that you have to educate not just the kids, but the parents as well?
Yes.
I had to do that a lot as an acting teacher. It's just like, when they get an audition, right?
Yes.
Don't run through them like how they should say things. Just memorize the lines, and I'll do the rest, right? As a coach. Yeah.
It's important that they understand technique versus performance quality. You could have the best abilities as a dancer, a musician, an actor. However, if you get on stage and you're flat, then you're not gauging your audience. You have to know how to turn it on. Yeah. How to do something that I learned in my theater learning class, the AEIOU. And then the expressors always saying sometimes why. But it's your face structure, right? When you get on stage, the AEIOU.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So you don't want to just keep the Joker smile throughout the performance.
It's too fake, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You want to show that performance quality, that expressive quality through not only your movements, but your face. So
that's a big part of it.
It really is. So that's something that we work with them on. Parents.
The ballet is like more like that, isn't it?
It is.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
But we also want them to not keep the same expression because in variations, which is what we use in our ballet performances, variations always have changes.
Right.
It never keeps the same cadence. So when that variation has the change, you have to know how to switch it up. When the violin goes from, a 6/8 count to a 4/4 count, how do you change that? How do you slow it down? How do you change that tempo? Yeah. And that's what they learn.
Do you teach them like, okay, when that change happens, it's how do you feel about it?
Yes. So you have to show that performance quality when you hear the change. But also in educating the parents, and I will be honest, when it comes to my own children, I was the same exact way. Our son is a gifted musician. He's actually graduating from North Carolina Central University this December, Eagle Pride. And he's going into the public school system as a music teacher.
Oh, wow.
But his journey started because a music teacher within Wake County believed in him. But then they had to deal with his parents who wanted more information. What can we do to help him on this journey? Should we get him a violin and piano teacher outside of Wake County to help perfect? Right. And we get the same questions. But because I was that same parent with our son, we know how to answer those questions.
Right.
And then with our daughter, we received feedback from her dance teachers like, this girl is really good. Have you ever considered this avenue for her? Or that avenue for her. So when we receive children who are the same, who are just naturally gifted and on the path of greatness in their dance, music, and acting abilities, we let their parent know that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's a good way to educate them too.
Yes.
Yeah. And then obviously you have the website too that could show the values of each class and stuff like that. Or say the values of each class and stuff like
Absolutely. Our when you first go on to our website, it says choose dance and music classes that will last your children a lifetime.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yes. If you're looking for an extracurricular activity, we want you to receive more than that. We want you to see the value and what this investment, because it is an investment, means for your child. And it is important, we put so much work into that website. It is important that they see the value, but also feel it.
Yeah.
You walk away with those warm and fuzzy feelings like, oh my goodness, it's over, I want more. How can I get more?
Yeah.
Take summer classes. Add on additional classes.
Do something completely different that you've never done before. Right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then, so when you moved into the new space, which is recent?
Yes, Monday, July 1st.
Oh, wow, that recent?
Yes.
Oh, okay. How's it going so far?
It's going great. Yeah. The space is still a work in progress. The contractor completed their part. We had mirrors delivered. They were, not to exaggerate, probably a quarter of the size of the mirrors we need.
Oh, wow.
So we shipped them back. And we're waiting for our floor to ceiling mirrors that our community is used to.
Yeah.
So right now our expressors are dancing without mirrors, which is a great learning tool for when they are ready to audition.
Yeah.
You don't audition with mirrors.
Sure.
You don't perform with mirrors. And surprisingly, they're good without having the mirrors. And they walk in there like, where are the mirrors? That's the first thing they said. They're on their way. The mirrors will be here any day.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, how do we dance without mirrors? I said, feel the rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay. How am I doing? Great. You're feeling the rhythm.
Right.
And then after class, they're like, that wasn't bad. No, it wasn't.
Or even like they take these classes and then like maybe you take a video at the beginning of that semester and the end of that semester.
Yes.
And then show the difference.
Oh my goodness. I know they're going to feel that difference so much, but also our studio rooms are closed spaces, so we do not allow community members into the actual studio rooms.
Yeah.
However, they have their own lounge, which they love.
Yeah.
But we also have a vendor that came in and put cameras throughout the studio rooms. And their community members can watch the classes on their devices.
That's nice.
So we don't have monitors in the lounge that they watch it. They can watch it from the comfort of anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's secured access, so they only have access to their child's classes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know of anybody.
Most people don't do that.
Yeah.
But
they only do that with like dogs.
Exactly.
Dog sittings and stuff like that.
So I always go back to our own children and what I wish we would have had access to. And that's what we bring into Expressions and Rhythm Studio.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also a safety thing too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
It sounds like you're just soaring, you know?
Yes. Yes, that's actually the S in our core values. So our core values are modeled after our name, EIRS. So the E stands for empower. The I stands for inspire. The R stands for radiate. And the S is soar.
Nice.
Yes.
I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Oliver, so much.
Absolutely.
It's been a joy.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to tell everybody where they could find you and all that stuff?
Yes. So Expressions and Rhythm Studio is located at 3509 Maitland Drive in the heart of Raleigh. You can find our website at eirstudio.com. We also have a YouTube page, a Facebook page at EIR Studio, as well as Instagram at EIR Studio. We hope to see you soon.
I appreciate you being on Inspired Voices.
Thank you.
I think it's definitely an inspiring voice to hear.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's it.
All right. Thank you.
All done.
All right. That was so great.
Yeah, you like it?
I did.
I thought I had a lot of fun with that.
Good.
It was good.
Thank you.
It was nice to get that love, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I could feel the love and the passion, you know?